prevention going forward?
Some simple things you can do is talk to your doctor about falls, especially before it happens. And you can talk to any doctor, neurological doctor, your eye doctor, your podiatrist, any doctor about falls, because they all have a perspective. And they can all be very helpful in helping you navigate your home and where you go. So that would be my first thing, is definitely talk to your doctor. Do balance exercises. They're standing up and sitting down slowly when you're getting on the when you're going to the couch or when you're going to the bathroom. Just kind of working the muscles that you don't normally work, because a fall is more a change of level change, as well as hitting the ground. So when you plop, you're also falling. So you lose control at one point. So definitely doing your balance exercises and practicing your control, and definitely making your home safer. And that's by performing your own evaluation, or having an evaluator come in and give you suggestions and referrals, and so that you can live more comfortably in your home.
Yeah, so you're making an excellent point about balance exercises, because it seems like if you can't get up and out of your chair, you can literally fall down getting off the couch. You can fall down getting off of the dining room chair, which scares me, because you can fall down getting up out of the bathroom, getting in and out of a tub. Those can be if your bottom half of your body isn't strong and you don't have the strength, and your upper body's weakening and you can't pull yourself up that well, you've kind of got a double whammy of weakness in a situation where you may not be able to be helped because you're in the shower or the tub or the bathroom. So, Kim, that kind of leads into assessing the home, and your surroundings. Like, what are your suggestions about making the home safer?
Just look. I say the walls tell you what's going on. If you find that you're holding onto your wall when you're getting off of the commode, you might need a grab bar there.
Okay.
If you're holding onto the wall when you're entering your home, a lot of people have railings on one side of their stairs, but not the other. We have two arms. We go up, we go down. You can fall up as well as down. So consider putting a railing on the other side.
Okay.
If you find that you can't see something, get the motion night lights. There's battery-operated motion night lights that allow you to see stairs coming, or I put them in my cupboards so that I can see the foods that I'm going to get in the middle of the night, which is not good. But those are some things. And make sure that you have grab bars in your shower or in your bathtub. Grab bars are the seat belt of the shower, because when you need them, you want them to be there. And a lot of times we do things in the shower and we just really need something to hold on to. So those are some suggestions.
Yeah, so let's not, as a community of people, young and old, let's try to get past the embarrassment and the fear of telling other people that we need help, because most people aren't snooping around in your bathroom. You can put whatever you want in it. So put those grab bars in, put that non-slip tape, put the non-slip mats in the tub and the showers to keep yourself safe, because that is a hazardous corner of the house. And then any other advice you want to give us about changing your home area around your home? Other things you can do to keep yourself safe there?
Well, you know what? Just looking at what has changed in you, and you have to consider your neighborhood's changed, your decor has changed, and you've changed. And so if you look at your home from right now and how you're using it, it may be helpful for you to consider, installing the grab bars, the railings, the banisters, handles on your closets and things like that. And also make sure that your address is visible, not behind bushes or trees, and that there's proper lighting, so that anyone can find you if you needed help.
Okay. That's a really good suggestion. If you need help and you call for help and they can't find your house, I think that's something people don't think about, is their neighborhood and being outside. Can somebody access me if I'm in trouble? It's very, very important to know. So we have to
doesn't like it, you know. I said to my oncologist,
They gave me, you know, with like your first one was on this date, the second one was on this date, the hospital that I had it done at. And yeah, I don't really have, honestly, I'm so desperate to live a normal life that I'm like, okay, fine, I'll show it to you.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I know the worry and freedom and everything.
I get it. But, you know, kids have to get vaccinated to go to school. Right? I mean, there are rules around these things
7
already.
colleges are demanding it.
Yeah, I know.
Probably more. Martha McCallum, back in a moment.
Программа «Парковка». Обсуждаем продукты компании «Супротек». А сейчас перерыв на новости.
В 16:30 в Москве, в студии Александр Климов. Новости. Группа депутатов немецкого Бундестага написала письмо Алексею Навальному в колонию в Покрове. Как сообщает немецкое издание «Шпигель», представители блока ХДС-ХСС, Социал-демократической партии, Свободной партии и Зеленых выразили полную солидарность с российским оппозиционным политиком и поддержку ему. Кроме того, они отметили, что условия исправительной колонии в Покрове являются целенаправленными пытками и несовместимы с Европейской конвенцией по предупреждению пыток. Полиция расследует уголовное дело о хищении свыше 23 миллионов рублей у 82-летней дочери Валерии Чкалова. По сведениям Интерфакса, заявление в полицию написала внучка потерпевшей. Официальный представитель столичного управления СК Юлия Иванова рассказала, что пожилой женщине позвонил неизвестный, который представился сотрудником правоохранительных органов и сообщил, что ее персональные данные находятся в свободном доступе и ей необходимо перевести сбережения на безопасный счет. Автобус с российскими туристами попал в аварию в Турции. Как сообщают в Фейсбуке Генконсульства России в Анталии, одна россиянка погибла, более 20 человек пострадали. Гибель российской гражданки «Эхо Москвы» подтвердил представитель Генконсульства России в Анкаре.
На трассе Конья-Аксарай произошло дорожно-транспортное происшествие с участием автобуса, перевозившего в Каппадокию группу из 32 российских туристов, находившихся на отдыхе в Анталии по линии туроператора «Пегас Туристик». В результате ДТП пострадали 26 россиян. К сожалению, турецкие власти подтвердили смерть одной из российских туристок 1978 года рождения.
Местная полиция сообщает, что водитель автобуса не справился с управлением на обледеневшей дороге, съехал в кювет, и в результате машина перевернулась. По итогам переговоров с Россией, Австрия теперь может закупить вакцину «Спутник Ви». Об этом сообщил канцлер республики Себастьян Курц. По его словам, речь идет о поставке партии в 1 миллион доз. Как сообщал ранее ТАСС, Вена надеется на быстрый доступ к «Спутника Ви» со стороны европейского регулятора, но способна и самостоятельно зарегистрировать этот препарат. Подмосковные «Химки» обыграли Тамбов со счетом 1-0 в матче 25-го тура РПЛ. Встреча на стадионе «Арена Химки» обеспечила подмосковному клубу 38 очков в турнирной таблице и место в РПЛ сезона 21-22 годов. В Москве сейчас 12 градусов, ближайшей ночью 0+2, завтра днем от 15 до 17 выше нуля, без осадков. Александр Климов, служба информации «Эхо Москвы».
Пора слушать музыку. Хорошую.
Never forget it. God bless you all and thank you very much.
Stay tuned to hear more history as it unfolds before your ears. It's the audio archives of Fox News Talk.
This is House Call for Help. The NCAA college basketball tournament is underway, but unlike other years, all the games are being played in Indiana, and that has local restaurants and bars taking steps to handle fans safely during the pandemic. Sean Bogardus is with Kilroy's Pub in Indianapolis.
In previous years, we were worried about capacity because of the fire department, but this year we're kind of worried about capacity
capacity with the health department.
Kilroy's manager, Laura Rosenberry, says they'll have restrictions in place like mask wearing and social distancing.
We won't be able to have standing room, which is what a lot of people enjoy for March Madness.
Even though vaccinations have increased, health officials like Chicago Public Health Commissioner Allison Arwady feel the tournament remains a concern for gatherings.
The safest thing still, of course, is to watch from home and to have smaller gatherings at home.
For more health news, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health, CJ Papa, Fox News.
Did you hear the news? Now you can. #1 cable news network. Plus, setup couldn't be easier because everything's ready to go in the app. Just say,
Alexa, play news from Fox. In Fox News.
it's the latest when you need it on demand from Fox News and Amazon Alexa.
Radio show like no other. It's Brian Kilmeade.
Even if we vaccinate all 332 million people in the United States tomorrow, we would still not be fully safe from the virus. Not while it's still replicating around the world and turning into new variants that could easily come here and spread across our communities again. And not if we want to fully reopen our economy or start traveling again.
That is the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, just letting us know we will never,
It will
ever,
never, ever
go back to normal.
Ever be over.
Unless you're rich and have your own plane and you run the State Department.
Yeah.
Anthony Blinken.
Yeah,
And play
I
in a
mean,
band.
you know, the Spanish flu ended after about 18 months.
Yes.
Every other pandemic has eventually ended, usually around that same time frame. Somewhere around a year and a half is the average length of a pandemic. And in those cases, there were no vaccines. So it was herd immunity that ended the Spanish flu. And there, I think herd immunity plays a large role in where we are right now. But no, for some people, they like the whole thing. They like something about it is just suits their interest in having control over everybody, you know? And dear God, I mean, there's been enough pain, enough death. It's time to embrace some good advances here.
Martha McCallum is here, by the way. She's going to be hosting her show at 3. Martha, can we admit that things are going good? We've been 4 million. Yesterday was only 1.5 million. I don't know why. We're averaging maybe 4 million shots a day.
Yeah.
We know that most of the states where the cases are going up is really 7 states, 5 or 7 states in particular. But it's not out of control. Deaths are down, hospitalizations down, cases are up. But no one has said that these vaccines can't handle the variants. Just got to get them. Get them quick. Yeah. Let's get it going. And I am heartened by the fact that all these other European countries keep shutting down. We're not. You're
happy for them that they're shutting down.
Well, the American people will not tolerate it.
No, it doesn't.
Let them hop into a press conference. You kidding me?
Well, they have vaccine issues. They have not had the rollout that we've had, and you have to give credit to Operation Warp Speed for getting the vaccine done in record time. I don't see how anybody cannot look at it that way. And we have a pretty good distribution system that's going here. So, yes, Europe is behind, and for a number of reasons. They're also like the kind of control that they have over their citizens as well.
And how happy is the UK right now that they split off? This is an example of why they wanted autonomy.
Right.
And they said, we just want to be in control. We don't want to check with Germany or Brussels to see how we're doing. So that's really worked. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is what's going on as it relates to the coronavirus with California. Everyone was just kidding around over the weekend. They're saying the more trouble Cuomo gets in, the more freedoms we have in New York. And the more trouble that Gavin Newsom's in with his recall, the more freedom they're getting in California.
Yeah, so
now
true.
they're allowed concerts. Now they say total free of lockdown in the middle of June. How sickening is that? What he was doing with this horrible lockdown, all about his political future, it looks like.
Yeah. No, absolutely. You see the bars opening, you see sports events coming back. And, there's a number of, thank goodness these governors are actually recognizing that have gone out of business in California. I don't know if you're ever going to get those people back. You've got Caitlyn Jenner talking about running for governor in California. Why not? And he's got to prove himself. He's in a bad situation at this point.
Gavin Newsom or Caitlyn Jenner?
Gavin Newsom.
Oh, okay. Oh, because you didn't.
Sorry.
You're right. Yeah,
misplaced modifier. Yes, Gavin Newsom.
How dare you? Here is Gavin Newsom, cut 34.
Why, again, I will end as I began. It is incumbent upon all of us not to announce mission accomplished, not to put down our guard, but to continue that vigilance that got us where we are today, the lowest case rates, positivity rates, that is, in America. We are seeing bright light at the end of the tunnel. We'll be moving past the dimmer switch. We'll be getting rid of the blueprint as you know it today.
Whoa.
That's on June 15th if we continue the good work.
Woohoo!
Wow, fantastic. To the four restaurants to the left and the few gyms that are open.
I know. And you look at the way it was handled in Florida, right? And the different, there's no difference. There is a small difference, but it's marginal differences in the numbers of people who were lost in California versus Florida and Texas. The states that had a different approach, and I still think that, 2 years from now, you're going to have a lot of retrospective study of how this was handled. And the lockdowns, even from the federal level, they're all going to come under a lot of scrutiny.
Right. Unless Anthony Fauci marshals it or heads up the plan, then we will not get any scrutiny. It'll be like, when you listened to me, things went well. When you didn't. Remember, it was his idea to come up with a vaccine. It was his idea to have a vaccine.
Yeah, he's
Remember?
so happy that he thought of that and rushed that. He's very, very pleased with himself.
Right. So I watched you yesterday. I was trying to think what guest you had on. Bob Nightingale, who I used to have on when I did All Sports Radio for a while.
Yeah.
I had him on all the time. He's low key, but he's very respected in USA. He's on USA Today writer. He was lauding this move by Major League Baseball, and he's equating it to Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier and say this has had to be done. It just shows you why sports and news should stay apart, number one. What was your reaction? I was so glad you brought that up.
Well, and he also said, okay, so there's never going to be another Super Bowl in Atlanta. We're never going to have a Final Four in Atlanta. We're never going to have, the NCAA tournaments. Done. He said you cannot, in good conscience, ever have any of these events in Georgia again. You think about the enthusiasm on the part of all these companies that were so excited, post-pandemic or near the end, we hope, to reopen for this All-Star event. We have a situation where we shoot first and ask questions later, cancel culture. And it just puts egg on everyone's faces. Did you see Faye Vincent's piece in the Wall Street Journal today?
Yeah.
Calling out Rob Manfred. This is the prior commissioner calling out the current commissioner and saying, essentially, did you read what's in the law before you jumped the gun and had this knee-jerk reaction to pull this event out of Georgia and send it to Colorado, where there are minuscule differences between the two voting rules?
I'll give you an excerpt.
Yeah.
He wrote in the Wall Street Journal. Activists urge Commissioner Rob Manfred to punish Georgia by rushing to do without first protesting the substance of the law. Mr. Manfred made a serious mistake. Baseball can't become a weapon of the culture wars, a hostage for one political party or ideology. It can't be only for the rich or the poor, nor can it only be for one race. Until 1947, that was the story. Baseball must always stand above politics and its dark elements of corruption, greed, and sordid selfishness.
So we don't have the leadership in the country right now to get above cancel culture.
He started it.
This is the problem.
He started
I know, but this is the problem. We need, people like Anna Wintour to stand up for her Teen Vogue editor and say this young woman was 17 years old. Okay, we need universities to stand up and say, look, we understand that perhaps there needs to be some discipline in this particular situation, but we are not going to burn the house down over this. We're going to find ways to reconcile. We're going to understand forgiveness. We're going to find things that we can work together on. And sports needs to be above politics. Are we going to live in a country where we have like Republican toothpaste and Democrat toothpaste and airlines that only red flies on and airlines that blue flies on? It's unbelievable how the politicalization of every single thing in America, and I think that masks had a big impact on that, right? Like the mask became either you're conservative or you're liberal based on your opinion on whether or not you want to wear a mask. Everything has become politicized, and we need leadership at universities, at baseball commissions, basketball commissions. We need them to stand up and say, no, I'm not going to give in to this. You guys work out your political differences. This is a Georgia law that was passed by the legislature, by the people who voted for that legislature. And one other thing I want to say on this, they say it was built on a lie about the election being fraud. That's not what happened.
That's
here.
what Jen Psaki said.
Everyone forgets this. The reason that these laws are being fought over now is because there were 50-plus cases that were won in the court system during COVID to expand voting laws. Oh, we need universal ballots because what if people don't want to leave their house to vote during COVID? That's where all of this came from. All these universal ballot initiatives, everything. And Mark Elias, Democrat attorney who is extremely successful for his causes, got through all these court systems and overturned what the legislatures had done in terms of their voting laws. Now this is a push to say, well, wait, we need to reevaluate now.
Pandemic over.
Those were never meant to be entrenched, but Democrats really want them to be entrenched. So anybody who touches them is a racist Jim Crow 2.0.
And just keep in mind, Martha, and I don't know, I have to remind you, Democrats did not have a great election. I mean, they were supposed to take the Senate. Nobody thought they were going to pick up all those seats in the House. The Republicans did lose one seat.
Yeah.
President Trump, through everything that happened, still 75 million votes. Yeah, he lost. And those people you're criticizing now stood up to President Trump, who everybody on the left still hates to this day more than life itself.
Yeah, and one
now
other
they're
quick
the enemy.
point, the other institutions or groups that did really well were Republican legislatures across the country. And that is what Democrats are aware of, because those are the people that are going to do these voting law changes and say, you know what? No, you do need a voter ID. And we're not going to blanket every building with tons of ballots that are, all over the top of the mailboxes. We're not going to do that. We're going to send them to people who request them. So those Republican legislatures did extraordinarily well in the last election across the country. And they're in a position to undo some of these COVID voting rules.
Guess what's in H.R. 1? Giving the power to redistrict, taking it away from state houses.
That's
so
right.
if you can't win the state house,
right. And
let's
why do you
change
think
the
that
rule
is?
in Washington.
Exactly.
Here's Mar Eliason, I thought, kind of nailed this, because they're already feeling what you just telegraphed, some regret. Cut 24.
There are prominent Democrats, Stacey Abrams, John Ossoff in Georgia, who don't want businesses to be boycotted. They think that's the wrong way to go. They are obviously against this Voting Rights Act, and they want to push back against it, but they're not for anything that's going to hurt the bottom line of small businesses in Georgia or the incomes of Georgia workers. I've even heard some Democrats saying that these sports events should have stayed in Georgia and then turned their celebrations into a kind of nonpartisan voter registration drive.
Yeah, nice try. But that is true. Stacey Abrams panicked.
Yeah.
Because she started it with John, with these.
With Warnock?
And yeah, it all started with these Crow laws, and now all of a sudden people said it's 2.0, and then in comes President Biden saying, "Man, it's sick, right? It's sick." And this is revisited. Are you kidding me? And now all of a sudden the Major League Baseball goes, okay, I'm out. And then all these corporations go, okay, I hear you. We're going to condemn too.
We're at these corporations, right? They have one responsibility: to make money for the company that they run, for the shareholders. They have a fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders. Nobody asked them to weigh in on on any of these political events. And I will say again, this law was passed by the Georgia legislature. This isn't something that, came down and sort of was imposed on people. And they started calling this Jim Crow 2.0 before the law was even just fully decided on. They debated the law. At one point, there was something in there that said, we're not going to have voting on Sundays. We'll have it 6 days a week, but not on Sunday. They changed it because they wanted to come up with something that was fair and that they felt
to the polls.
Exactly. So, these CEOs, they've got to just take a deep breath. They got to look at these things closely and say, do we really want to blow up these events that are designed to bring people together in a time when the country is so divided? No. We want to dig in. We want to make it harder.
Right.
We want only people who think like we do to come to our events. It's a huge. It makes me worry, quite honestly, about the country and the future.
And I don't really blame Rand Paul, but he came out and said it with Neil yesterday and said, why are we as Republicans drinking Coke? Why is we Republicans hopping on Delta Airlines, now American, because Americans condemning the new Texas law? Why are we going with these products? Why are we going to Home Depot, even though Home Depot seems to be somewhat on the sidelines now? There's 200 companies who went on the record condemning this law and condemning those who would support the law and saying horrible things about those who would vote for the law. So why are we doing that? And I'm saying to myself, I understand how you feel, but do we really, is anyone going to be an adult here and say, where does this stop?
Now Republicans say, well, we always are the ones who try to take the high road. And I had that feeling about Governor Abbott in Texas. I thought, well, maybe he should throw out that baseball and say, I'm here for all of you who want to see a baseball game tonight and who don't want politics to enter into baseball. And I am not going to stay home. But he took the opposite tack, which is what Rand Paul is saying, which is, we're tired of people, saying you can't go to the Equinox gym because the Equinox CEO likes President Trump. We've had too much of it on the other side, and we might as well just start playing the game, playing hardball the way the other side is. So, I get it. I get it.
Didn't 34 states already rein in their election laws that got that were pandemic? They were pandemic modified.
Yes.
So where's baseball going to play? Where's football going to play? Where's basketball going to play? The NBA just cut a deal with China, hush-hush deal with China to get back into that country. Can we get some details on that?
Yeah.
Do you stand for anything like Hong Kong being steamrolled, Taiwan about to be invaded, and these Uyghurs, Muslim Uyghurs, who are basically living a life of slavery?
Well, Coca-Cola did the same thing. They just signed on to this new deal with Tencent, Chinese company, government-owned company in China, technology company, that went after Daryl Morey when he said, I think that people in Hong Kong deserve to have democracy.
Yeah.
So that company, Coca-Cola, we just did a huge deal with them. We're super excited about it. I mean, get real. Get real.
Well, I knew you're not talking to me. You're talking to them.
Yeah,
right?
Get real, Brian.
I apologize. Back in a moment.
Educating, entertaining, enlightening. You're with Brian Kilmeade.
Every year from 1990 to 2000. Probably until Rich Gannon or something, and I started losing interest. I don't watch the NFL anymore, or baseball, or any other sport. I'm not kidding, it never goes on in my house. Once in a blue moon, for news purposes, I'll have to watch 60 Minutes to see what's going on. And on a Sunday, I'll tune into 60 Minutes early, even though it's a liberal show, I gotta watch what they're saying. And I'll catch the end of a game just as it's ending, that's it. But my mom loved football. Loved. Huge. It was on every Sunday. That's how I learned about football. That's how I learned to love it. My kids will never experience that. They've never seen football in my house. I mean, they know what it is. They're not stupid. They don't care about it. They're not interested in it. They've never developed any emotional bond with the players, the athletes, the coaches, the teams. Nothing. It means nothing to them. This is where the damage is going to be done. It's not today. It's not tomorrow. But if you're in the NFL, the MLB, and you think you're keeping a few...
Who met him at a dry wall in Berlin. And then Stewie, who met him. I never met him, and I sort of felt a bit left out. I'm a member of an organisation that he was a very proud member of, and it was and yesterday at 9 o'clock they organised a Zoom link, and I think there was about 4,500 joined it on the time that I was on it, which was from about 8:30 until 9. So they were from all over the world, and people had wonderful stories. People who had known him, people who had worked alongside him in various charities, and that. And we had a traditional toast to him at 9 o'clock, which is the time that you have it. And I was very glad to take part in that. And then when I walked in Stewie, I said, oh no, I know. I'd bantered with him on occasion. So tell us what happened, Stewie. Take us back, paint the picture.
Well, I wouldn't quite say I knew him. I had an encounter with him back in 2003 when the Queen and Prince Philip came to Horsham, which is the town.
So have you moved from Horsham?
Well, I live up the road in Crawley
now. Okay, fine. Because you sounded like you had left it well behind you.
Yeah, no.
But you've gone, 3 miles anyway, but
something like that.
So you're in Horsham, at the school in Horsham.
Yes, so I was at school, and because the Forum, which is a new area, a new build area in the town, had just been rectified and was ready for opening, the Queen was coming to open up the Forum. Yeah. And the school gave us the day off to go to see this memento occasion. You know, it's not often the Queen comes to Horsham, and rightly so. And of course, with the Queen going there to open it up, Prince Philip was there with her. And as they were going round and saying hello to the crowds, Prince Philip approached where I was standing and came over, and there was a couple of my friends there as well, and we were just chatting. And he came over and said, "Oh, so did the school let you off to come and see the Queen?" And I actually replied and said, "And you, sir?" Which he then turned round and laughed and said, "Oh, very good, very good." Very smart.
It was a very smart reply there.
Yeah.
It really was. I can imagine you're quite a cheeky, precocious young man there. Did you give him a little wink almost? A little wink there. That's, you know something? That is, of all the stories that I've been hearing over the last 24 hours, my favourite was someone who said... I'll tell you what, it was Giles Brandreth, who we love. He's had Giles on this show. He said he was at this massive, great big event. There was a huge event going on, you know, black tie and tiaras and all this sort of thing. And it was, everyone was there, everyone, you know, the Queen's there. And at one point, the Queen was standing talking to a group of people. They'd been, you know, you can come up in fives, you know, and they were part as well, and they were talking. So now, just happened to see him at the point that he looked across, and I followed his eye line, and he was looking at the Queen, and at one point she turned around and caught his eye, and he raised his glass and winked at her. And I just thought, yeah, because he was her husband. Yeah.
Okay, that shows.
And tough night, you know, and I can just imagine that, because that was always, and the people who were talking last night at this.
И нужно специальный вход.
Изатор и так далее. Для коробок передач автоматических частенько у них проблемы изнашивается насос, масляный насос, идет расстыковка сигналов, идет электрический сигнал на открытие золотника, золотник своевременно открывается, а давление.
The debt over the course of the next decade, more than a certain percentage, you couldn't do it on reconciliation. Now, what's the point? I mean, it seems like you can do anything on reconciliation. There used to be very hard and fast rules. If it impacts the debt over a certain percentage over the next decade, sorry, you got to get 60 votes.
So evidently in 2001, Republicans tried to do the same thing. They got rejected. This is one. Now it's a woman.
No, there's no rules now.
And I'm wondering how much pressure she felt under, because she got ridiculed because she punted on the bridge for Schumer, punted on the tunnel for Nancy Pelosi, and said, no, I don't want you to have a minimum wage hike in this bill. And they went crazy. You know, the left went crazy. Bernie Sanders, you got to be kidding me. We got to overrule her. Now she is asked this. She goes, oh, yes, fine, that's passing. What kind of pressure is Chuck Schumer putting on her?
It's a great question.
Right. I mean, is that something you might put in your show?
Maybe she'll be
on
tonight.
Is it that great of a question?
Yes, it's a very good. I'd like to have her on tonight.
Well, we'll see.
Call her right after
and Brian Kilmeade deserves full credit for that guest. That's all I would ask for. Martha, thank you so much. We're going to watch you at 3 and everything you do.
Great to be with you.
All right. Thanks so much for listening. And I'm sorry if you're in New York. All your taxes are going up.
Now, from the historical audio archives of Fox News Talk.
In August of 1970, New York attorney Bella Abzug, one of the most outspoken leaders in the growing women's movement, gave testimony on the Equal Rights Amendment.
We felt this transcendent joy, for woman's life has been imminent. As Simone de Beauvoir did, it has never been completely human, because so few of us have had this great experience that all of us have had tonight of creating in history, of taking the torch from those great women who won us the vote 50 years ago, and carrying that torch high so that it will shine on the lives not only of our daughters, but shines in our own faces in self-affirmation.
Stay tuned to hear more history as it unfolds before your ears. It's the audio archives of Fox News Talk.
The Dean's List with Janice Dean.
A birthday surprise for a former California substitute teacher makes today's Dean's List. 77-year-old Jose Villarreal, known to students as Mr. V, was living in his Ford Thunderbird since May when he realized his job was probably coming to an end. His pension check went to all of his debts, and he had nothing left. A chance encounter with a former student, Steven Nava, changed his life. Steve noticed Jose living out of his car and gave him $300. He then got him a hotel room and took him out to breakfast. While they talked, Jose told him his birthday was coming up. So Steve went to social media and organized a fundraiser. Raising more than $27,000, Steve set up a socially distanced outdoor birthday party. They gave him the check, and Jose was overwhelmed with gratitude. Jose, happy birthday. And to Steve and all of those who helped him out, you all made today's Dean's List. Janice Dean, Fox News.
The very latest headlines, along with in-depth analysis and conversation, depend on Fox News Radio and FoxNewsPodcasts.com.
Throwing money at migration. I'm Pam Puso, Fox News. As migrants make their way to our southern border in record numbers, the Biden administration is said to be considering a new way to stop the flow.
According to an exclusive report by Reuters, the U.S. is pondering the idea of a conditional cash transfer program. It would help to address the economic issues that have caused many people in Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador to migrate north. The program could also include sending COVID-19 vaccines to those countries.
Fox's Jeff Paul, the White House's border coordinator who plans to step down at the end of the month, tells Reuters it's unclear where the money would go, but she says the government isn't going to hand out money or checks to people. The president is also considering packing the Supreme Court. An executive order signed yesterday establishes a bipartisan commission to study whether seats should be added. Back in October, then candidate Biden said he wasn't a fan of expanding the court. A steady stream of mourners is leaving flowers and British flags outside Buckingham Palace and Windsor Castle following the death of Prince Philip. Also today,
Number 1.
41 gun salutes in the UK and beyond in honor of the former naval officer.
We've had the gun salutes from around the world, we've had tributes from world leaders, and here at Buckingham Palace, as well as at Windsor Castle, there have been a steady stream of mourners. But of course, it's been severely curtailed by COVID. That being said, Prince Philip always said he didn't want a big state funeral, he wanted something smaller. He wanted no fuss, and that's what he's going to get. Instead, there's going to be a small family service in Windsor next Saturday.
Fox's Benjamin Hall. Queen Elizabeth will enter a period of mourning that could last several weeks. She was married to Prince Philip for 73 years. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey, it's Brett Larson, inviting you to download and listen to the new daily Fox on Tech podcast. There's part of a colorful late 90s iMac on Mars. It's an idea that seems a lot like Kickstarter, called Build It. This isn't the first time we've heard about North Korea hackers trying to get a leg up on COVID-19, a range that was used for satellite TV service in the 70s. Get the latest trends in technology, cybersecurity alerts, and gadget news daily. Subscribe and listen now by going to foxnewspodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now.
As violent crime soars in Portland, Oregon, city officials are taking action, but they're not giving an additional dime to the police force.
The department was stripped of $15 million and 84 officers. 115 have quit since July, putting it down nearly 20% from a year ago. And there's a hiring freeze. Mayor Ted Wheeler and several black pastors called for more money for the police. But the city council has taken a different approach. This week, it approved millions of dollars for community groups already receiving grants and the hiring of 24 unarmed park rangers.
Fox's Dan Springer, the park rangers are equipped with pepper spray and a radio. Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 vaccine is being examined in Europe. Scientists say the vaccine is made with a technology similar to the AstraZeneca vaccine, which has been linked to unusual blood clots. Meanwhile, adverse reactions to the J&J vaccine led to the closure of a vaccination site in Georgia.
The Department of Public Health taking action on Friday to halt COVID-19 vaccinations in Forsyth County. The decision comes after 8 people who received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine experienced adverse reactions, including one person who was taken to the hospital and later released. Health officials believe it was all environmental, meaning people were possibly overheated or dehydrated.
Reporter Elizabeth Rollins with Fox 5 in Atlanta. 2 other states, Colorado and North Carolina, are investigating incidents with the vaccine. There was panic on Indonesia's main island of Java when a magnitude 6.0 earthquake struck off the southern coast. A woman was reportedly killed by falling rocks, her husband badly hurt. Homes and businesses are damaged. Scientists are warning that a rumbling volcano on the